Upon the release of Disney's Marvel Studios' Black Panther, it had been a long-awaited and critically acclaimed film set to make history. It had proved everyone right when it came out over President's Day weekend in Black History Month and grossed over $700 million in global ticket sales in 12 days and hit $1 billion right before it closed out. When everyone wants to talk about good and correct representation in Hollywood, they point to this film. And for good reason. It gave a heavy, euphoric feeling of pride and representation to Black people in America. It also deconstructs stereotypes of men of color, families, and communities. And of course proved to Hollywood that a movie with a person of color as the main character can open a movie and make racks of money. Now for the big question. Did it solve diversity in Hollywood? Of course it didn't. In 2017, the University of Southern California recorded that 13.6% of Black people were represented in major film projects against the 70.8% of white representation. For Asians, it was 4.8%. For Hispanics, it was 3%. The movie industry has this fun idea that if they were to include just 1 or 2 people of color with speaking roles, they have achieved diversity. This is not diversity. This is tokenism. What moviegoers of all types need to see is a balance. I have noticed that in a cast with a big group of minorities a part of it, their race is incorporated into the story somehow, like with slavery or civil rights events. All Hollywood has to do is look past the color of the skin and cast a person of color as a character the same way they do with white people. No one is scrambling to give Russell Crowe some limelight by casting him as a Nazi in a period piece like they do with Octavia Spencer and casting her as some sort of oppressed domestic like in The Help or The Shape of Water. There is nothing wrong with colorblind casting if it means proper representation, unless you're whitewashing a character of color. Okay, another part of the spectrum is this little known force called colorism. To put it plainly, if you want a Black actress to play alongside the other white folk and still look pretty Eurocentric, you call someone like Amanda Stenberg or Zoe Saldana. There is still this reeking plague of anti-Blackness amongst society, even in the Black community. Dark always equates to ugly and ghetto, especially when the dark-skinned person is accompanied with natural hair. The film industry is a powerful force. I feel with the right casting choices, meaning we do not leave the thuggish, ghetto, promiscuous, or crazy roles to the dark-skinned people. This could be a turnaround. It's worked in Black Panther, it can work everywhere else. The last thing I want to address is stories told in the Black perspective. I'm talking about Black writers and directors. Hollywood should explore the Black point of view even further, and that goes double for minorities such as Asians, Hispanics, Native Americans, etc. This white-centric perspective, putting white people at the center of the world, is very counterproductive. Exposing the world to your culture accurately is empowering, and you feel like your view matters. Plus, you have that satisfying awe moment in the audience when they feel themselves being represented in a meaningful way. To create this balance in the industry, they need to dismantle this tunnel vision of the one type of character mentality. I know it doesn't seem like it, but there are more original stories out there ready to be told, instead of giving Jumanji a reboot. Moonlight and Get Out proved that. There just needs to be support for these artists of color to strive in an industry that was not exactly made for them. When the industry gives balance, that is when it truly reflects this country and the diversity of it, and that's when the world can see that we have truly grown into ourselves.